before the break, we tackled the issues of quantitative research in the media arena. Now we turn our attention to the more emotive studies. But before we start our discussions, let's look at the clip from Venus Networks.
Women have always been seen as the shoppers of the household, but I don't think they've been given enough respect in terms of advertising and the way in which brands speak to them. I mean, everyone's talking about women being the new emerging market, but I don't think any brands have found a way to communicate to them properly. And this is just from speaking to the ladies on our network. I mean, these ladies, their lives are so complicated and so multifaceted, and I just don't feel like any brands have been able to actually tap into their daily lives and manage to communicate to them.
The way people dress, maybe in ads, real women don't all do that all the time.
I find it quite a lot in, advertising, adverts and stuff like that. It's either they're talking to this mom who's a stay-home mom, or they're talking to this successful single woman, or, they never really match the two together.
I think that women are more inclined to speak with and believe their friends, and this type of conversation I think is much more influential.
So I think your mom is like, the best advice that you can get. She can never misguide you.
What I'm finding also, word of mouth, because the product might be said it's great, but you speak to people and they'll have a different view, and then you'll use it and have your own opinion.
I know that if a friend of mine tells me that they've got experience with a certain product or a brand, that it has worked wonderful for them, I'll definitely go out and try it.
If your sister recommends something, or your best friend, you're going to go with that. You're going to trust them more than you trust an ad.
Do more focus groups, and then something like this, then Venus Networks, where you get real people and, discussing products. That will help, rather than getting, just advertising as a whole, just getting models and painting a perfect picture.
The world is changing so fast, and I think that right now women have firmly taken control of every aspect of their lives. And because of this, the way in which we speak to women has changed. I mean, gone are the days when marketers tell women what to think and what to buy. Each and every one of us is different, and I think that marketers underestimate this at their peril.
Well, joining me now, founder of Instant Grass, Ian Calvert, and of course Neil Higgs is still with us. Welcome to the show. So we've just seen, apparently gone are the days that marketers are telling us as women what to buy and what to say. It's about time. And they also spoke about the woman being the new emerging market. And also read that women contribute 87% of household spending. So you guys obviously saw this huge gap in the market to say, well, then we need to know what women are thinking and what women are saying.
I think more than that, it's also finding new ways to find out what they're thinking and saying. Yeah. As the ladies on the video said, conversations between women are happening every day. And I think too often some of the traditional ways of doing research amongst the female market or any consumer market create false conversations with people who don't know each other. And I think you and I know that we only reveal our innermost thoughts to people that we trust. So all we try and do is recruit interesting people from all sectors of community, whether it's youth, women, men, but people who can give us those insights. And we tap into those conversations to find out what they really think, not what they think they should be telling people. So I think women particularly have been stereotyped for so many generations in marketing.
Pinkwashing, for example.
Exactly, pinkwashing, all of those kind of things. And marketers seem to think that they're sort of, yes, there's all the kind of, people pay lip service to the multitasking of women.
Right.
But really, and particularly in relation to your earlier discussion, the media consumption that they have, their ability to consume multiple messages from all sorts of new ways and integrate those conversations into their lives. You've got to be able to understand those women in a conversational environment to really get into their lives and not observe their lives from the outside.
We are multitaskers. I mean, we could watch TV, send a BBM message while we're making dinner and while we're reading a newspaper.
Well, I think particularly in relation to your earlier discussion about TV viewership, yes, you can measure how many people are sitting in front of a television in their home, but have you got their attention? Traditional media measurement tends to measure output rather than impact. And I think we see in all age groups, as you say, you can be supposedly watching a TV program, but you're mix-itting, you're doing whatever you need to do. So I think we've got to be very careful. Measurement systems, quantitative measurement systems can tell you the how many and the what.
Right.
But qualitative tells you the why and the how, which to give real insight to marketers, that's what's necessary. Measurement will always, marketers need numbers to work with, but to be truly effective, they need the insights that really only come in a different way.
Neil, and you got some consumer insights recently when you conducted the first or the largest ever global digital research project on a global scale for people's online activities and behavior. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, in fact we've done two now. We've done this one which looks at digital as a broad topic, and that was about 50,000 people around the world, 46 countries. And this morning I got our latest results on the mobile survey, which was 34,000 people in 43 countries. And what's really interesting is that the growth of mobile and digital is enormous. And people are becoming increasingly happy to use mobile and digital environments to communicate. And that also goes to what Ian is saying about trust, is that very often people don't like to tell you things face to face, but they will say things via a mobile or digital platform because it's a little bit more impersonal. You're not putting yourself out there. And in fact, the research that we do has to catch up with that or keep up with that. So we use things like bulletin boards and chat rooms increasingly in the qualitative environment because the digital and online space has become so familiar to many people.
Break it down for us, the methodology that is used and that you just mentioned now, Neil.
One of the key things is that for sensitive topics in particular, people are quite a lot more comfortable doing it via texting. So if you set up a bulletin board or a chat room and
invite... A bulletin board and a chat room,
or a chat room, yes, and people can participate. And that has advantages in terms of they're not putting themselves...
You can be anonymous, for example. Okay, all right.
But also you can do it in your own time. So if you get home from work and you think you'll catch up on Facebook and do your Mixit and look at Twitter, and you might also just catch up on a bulletin board you've been invited to be a part of. And you can do it at 9 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning or whenever you like. You don't have to go to a particular venue. So there's huge advances in the way we tap into emotions using new technology, really.
And just on that, because part of your study said that social networking, of course, is growing exponentially, especially in South Africa.
Yes.
Do you think it's a threat to a focus group then, social networking, in the future?
I don't think social networking is such, but as Neil says, the ability to have those conversations, firstly, in real time, in a credible way, and on the spur of the moment. I mean, a lot of the work we do in say, the youth areas, when our young guys are part of our sort of grass network are out there seeing interesting things, they're able to shoot it with their camera phone, upload it straight to our management system, comment on it. Whereas if you'd had to wait 24 hours for them to think about it, it will probably pass them by. So it allows you to talk to them in real time. There will always be a reason to get people together in a group environment to talk, but we prefer to talk of it as unfocused groups where you just let the guys freewheel. And whether it's women will never stick to an agenda. They will want to talk about different things. The youth will want to talk about different things. So you've got to let that conversation flow in different ways, but just be smart enough to pick out the gems of insight that come out of that conversation. So when you've got those real live physical conversations combined with the quantity of mobile conversations, really we're at a really exciting stage where the depth of knowledge and the depth of insight that we're able to get is huge.
But let's face it, Neil, when you look at social networking as a tool for research, it's cost effective, it's immediate. Let's look at case in point, the Gap rebranding. How brilliantly that worked for Gap and didn't cost them anything.
I don't think any one methodology threatens any other. I think they're all complementary, and as we adopt new methodologies, we gain new levels of insight. I think each methodology has its pros and its cons. So, for example, with digital work, sometimes the very anonymity can lead to distortions. You don't always know who's online at any given time. So there's always things to take into account, but I think that the research world actively embraces all the new technologies and integrates them pretty seamlessly with the old ones, or those companies that are successful, should I say, do that. You can't stick with an old methodology and not adopt the new as well.
Absolutely, so it's more integrated approach, would you say?
Complementary, yes. I think all of these techniques are complementary. And I think if you use them all intelligently, they add huge amount of insight to a particular issue.
But I think that, I mean, you use the example of Gap. Again, some of the old way of thinking of research was that you had to initiate the conversation. But now you know, the new buzzword is really collaboration. The consumer is in control far more than before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so a lot of companies are embracing the consumer's views in product development, open sourcing product development, new creative ideas coming from consumers, crowdsourcing, consumer created TV commercials. The most viewed TV commercial at the Super Bowl is created by consumers for Doritos. So there's this big shift from
ad though, with the pug.
from marketing control to consumer collaboration.
Right.
And it's really and some of the big companies, you know, the Unilevers, the P&Gs, who officially wrote the book on traditional marketing, they're the companies that are at the forefront of getting the consumer inside the process.
But now let's just quickly go back to Venus Networks. What do you do with the information that's gathered? Do you go to the market and say, guess what women are thinking about your product? Or does it work the other way around? Do marketers come and commission the research with you?
Yeah, there are a certain number of studies that we do which are kind of, let's call it syndicated, that we open source to the market. But I think Neil and I were talking earlier, nowadays really what marketers want are solutions for their business. So getting one-size-fits-all reports aren't that useful.
Right.
So more often than not, we have ongoing relationships with a lot of the big marketing clients for whom the female consumer is vitally important, whether it's as grocery shopping or cosmetics or retail, whatever. So they will say, this is our business issue. This is what we really want to understand. How can you help? So we then collaborate with our network of women to try and generate insights that will lead to either a product solution or a service solution or a communication solution. But the principle is that you're empowering those women to feel that what they're telling you is going to, through our business, get to the ears of the marketing director.
They feel that they're in control and they have some certain power that they can use. Neil, what I wanted to ask you is, what makes TNS the largest custom research agency? What differentiates one agency to another?
There's been a massive shift in the balance of power in the research world in the last few years to agencies being bought into large groups. So I think being part of the TNS network's got a number of positives. Obviously there's worldwide solutions and there's a worldwide string of brains to draw on. So for example, TNS has regions, but also it has what we call areas of expertise. So there's a financial sector, an automotive sector, consumer sector. So if I've got a particular problem in, let's say, the financial markets, I've got a huge body of expertise to draw upon. But equally, having said that, we still have the ability to remain local and to tailor things to the local environment. I mean, South Africa is a unique laboratory with our different languages, the change we're going through. And we, in fact, feed many solutions back into that network. So, I mean, it's an awesome place to be, South Africa, right now, from a research point of view.
So on one hand, you've got the big research company, TNS, and then you've got you guys that, you know, have seen a gap in the market, and it's more sort of bespoke, isn't it? Would you say that?
Yeah, I think it is. I think, you know, we work alongside businesses like TNS very happily.
In conjunction with,
But I think what we do, we just, I guess, it's a simple human insight that as I said, you'll reveal more interesting things to people you trust. So really, we found out, we certainly, you know, deliver or work with the big multinational marketers, and we operate in different territories as well. But we're very clear on the philosophy that we help marketers with, which is really to collaborate with the consumer, to empower the consumer in those conversations, and that's where the real insights come out.
Yeah. So you don't just do focus groups. What are the other methodologies that
we do? A lot of video work. There's this fancy term called ethnographic work, where we literally hang around with people and just watch them live their lives, shoot them on video. As I said, we get them into sessions where they're kind of unfocused groups. We do a lot of, we have our own sort of version of Facebook where particularly our youth networks log on and just chat and talk. And it's an ongoing dialogue, so it's not answering a questionnaire. So we really, the platforms that we use, the technologies we use aren't that important. It's more about having a natural conversation and dialogue with people that you trust to generate really useful insights.
This TNS study, and just very lastly, the TNS study that you've just done on the online, I did read somewhere that you guys are going out to do it on an annual basis.
Yes, we are.
You're looking to do that. So who commissions this research, Neil?
This study is actually run by TNS. It's a study that we've undertaken in many countries in the TNS world. And clearly we release it at a number of levels. There's general stuff like we release here, but also we release category-specific reports, and those do get bought. That is more syndicated. But we can also, compile very specialist reports for particular clients.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Neil and Ian, for joining us on Media and Money today.